Real golf, real golf talk. This is Play It Where It Lies, a Bash Brothers Media golf show and podcast.
This is Play It Where It Lies, Stuart. I'm back from New Orleans feeling bloated and not looking great. And you, on the other hand, are looking svelte, a tan, a haircut, and you're on the other end of the spectrum.
well, you don't look like you put on an awful lot of weight while you were down there.
I feel like it.
But yeah, I know that feeling. I know it well.
Well, we certainly enjoyed the U.S. Open this weekend, and so much to get to here on Play It Where It Lies with the gent, Stuart Conway. I'm John Wiener. Good show with us as always. Get us on Bash Brothers Media, all of our platforms, all of the podcast stuff, and also we're on your screen where you can see the svelte Stuart Conway and the increasingly less so John Wiener. We're right here on Facebook and YouTube on our website as well, bashbrothersmedia.com. U.S. Open preview, U.S. Open recap. We'll have Play It, Drop It, Roll It. A Tough Flies segment that I'm really excited to get into.
Yeah.
Patrick Reed snapped a wedge during play. We're going to talk all about snapping wedges and throwing clubs and why it should be a thing for you too. But let's get into our tee shot, Stuart. Gary Woodland wins the U.S. Open just like we thought at 13 under par. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we all picked Gary Woodland to win. A terrific performance, absolutely terrific performance. After the first day, we had our usual suspects up there who disappear and come back. And I'm speaking of one Mr. Ricky Fowler, who I will say that was my best pick of the day for the favorite to fail.
Yeah, exactly.
He disappeared quite quickly.
National no-show, I believe it was.
Yeah. And I termed the phrase there the other day. He is now officially, in my opinion, the PGA Tour's Natalie Gulbis. So
Tough saddle.
It's a tough one to really go. But Gary was just spectacular the whole week. I mean, he really was. He played exceedingly good golf. Great to see him finally come of age and do what we thought he might do all those years ago when he turned pro and came onto the tour with high expectations.
I thought certainly the story with Gary Woodland and the backstory and a bit of an underdog and his likability factor was all part of it. But what stood out to me, Stuart, was the way Woodland played and the way Woodland closed to hit that chip shot on 17, to put it in the jar on 18 for the win. And think about this. Here's a guy who, first of all, held the lead pretty much after Friday. Had never really done this before. Had a lead on Sunday 7 different times and never closed it out. And this is the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach with Koepka and Rose and McIlroy and Oosthuizen right on your heels. For him to play the way he did under that circumstance, for anybody to play that golf over 36 holes and on Sunday to shoot the 69 that he did to close it out would be remarkable. But if you think about, again, where Woodland was in his career and the guys that were chasing him and the stakes of the tournament, I thought it was just as good of a golf display as we've seen in a long time.
It was. His performance, I mean, that stinger shot that he's got there rivals anything I've ever seen. I mean, the way he's able to hit that driving iron and just send it out there low and sharp, straight, just a little draw on it every single time. His fairway woods, every aspect of his game was as it needs to be to win a U.S. Open. It was all there. And I don't know which shot won it for him, but you're right, that chip shot on 17 over there was to play the shot under those conditions when you're only 2 shots ahead. Everything could have gone wrong.
Kind of, except we had the discussion in our house that, in watching it, that shot, it was an extremely difficult putt. There's no way you can putt it to get it close. If you take the fact that you're chipping from the green, and this is going to sound, I don't want to say that it was an easy shot. The shot itself, minus the fact that you're chipping from the green, was kind of a straightforward chip shot.
Yeah.
I know the circumstances were being what they were, but I think, my dad said, he's got no chance to get this close. I said, I don't know. If he chips it, he's got a pretty good chance to get it close. Yeah. And he did, but I thought it was just the totality of the way Woodland played. It wasn't about one shot. It was, as you said, the full game. And yet another guy like Brooks Koepka, who was known as a bomber and is certainly one of the longest guys out there, but showed the full array the way down to the flat stick.
He absolutely did, yeah. And length was part of it. He was able to put himself in positions, but it was also, as you said one time when we were talking about tough courses, is being able to get out of when you've got yourself into a little bit of trouble, get yourself out of it. He was able to do it. Rose was too for most of the weekend, but just unfortunately for Rose, fell away on the back nine on Sunday.
Again,
as happens,
as happens with Rose just about every time. And we'll get to Justin Rose and play it, drop it, roll it. A couple things on Gary Woodland again. 13 under par, which is one of the lowest U.S. Open scores. I mean, this guy went really low, and we'll get into like the scoring in the U.S. Open as a whole. But weren't you surprised, or did it surprise you at how many people it felt like were rooting for Gary Woodland? Like a lot of times a guy who doesn't have a big personality, like we want the big stars to win, and I think Koepka is drawing more fans, and we'll get into that as well. But it felt like most people were on board for Gary Woodland to win, if that's fair to say, and a little bit strange that would be the case.
No, I think they were. And I don't want to get into too much into Brooks Koepka right now, but I don't think that Brooks Koepka endears himself to people, as easily as a quiet, personable guy like Gary Woodland, who's handled himself throughout his career with dignity when things have gone well and when they haven't gone so well for him. He really is, he's our ultimate Play It Where It Lie award, because he's been
through some stuff personally, certainly.
Yeah. So he's been a great guy, great for the game of golf, great for American golf to have again the guy come of age now, and I think that you'll see a little bit more of Gary Woodland now, and I don't think it's because of this win. I think it's because he's matured as a golfer now and as a golf professional, and he's settled himself down. He's going to be that midlife, good, solid player.
I think it's a really good point. And again, we talk about Gary Woodland, and we had this discussion with Patrick Cantley, and Woodland now, I looked at the guys who finished below him: Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, Adam Scott, Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah.
4 titans in the game.
Yes.
As big a names and factors, quote unquote, on the weekend as you get. Gary Woodland's got the same number of majors as they do.
Yes.
And I don't know what you make of that, but I think it's, to me, Stuart, it just shows how fine the line is between great and all-time great and good. I mean, those guys, as great as we are, I don't think they're that much, and it can't be any better than Gary Woodland.
No. I think that it begs that question about the one major winner.
Sure.
Whether it's good enough or not good enough. It's hard to win a major. It's hard to win a major with tough golf course setups, which, I don't know if we got it anywhere in the show, but let me say that the USGA did a nice job of staying out of the way of the golf course.
Let's retee it right now, and we'll get into all of the players. Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth, and Michael Greller, Phil Mickelson, Ricky Fowler. All that's coming up.
Stuff there.
And Play It, Drop It, Roll It. Let's retee the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
So much of the talk coming in was about the USGA, how it would score. Would it play difficult? What were your thoughts just on that conversation and the general appeal of the week?
I think the USGA for once gave up the fact of trying to make it a par-winning golf course. So they stayed out of the way of the golf course. They did let it firm up over the weekend, which made it a little bit more difficult. There wasn't as much movement on Saturday as you would normally see. And Sunday, it just turned into a very good golf competition there between a number of players who all came and went, but Brooks Koepka certainly made it there. But no, USGA deserves a lot of applause for letting the golf course be the golf course you've chosen it to be. And I think that's the way I would say about the whole thing, is that they've just got to pick golf courses and let the golf course be itself, and not try and
that's the key.
Trick it up too much.
Again, we talked about it, picking the right golf courses, but forcing yourself not to overreact during the week. And as you say, I think it's a great way to put it. Let the golf course be itself, and that's what happened with Pebble. 13 under, 31 guys under par. Woodland, Koepka, all 4 rounds in the 60s. All of a sudden you say, wait, that's not U.S. Open stuff. Where's Mike Davis rushing with the bulldozer, to the golf course? I saw the tweets. But then on the other hand, it did play really difficult. It felt like in a lot of ways. It was really penal for guys making doubles and triples and shooting big numbers. And I think all told, you're surprised a little bit at the low scores, the number of low scores, and the fact that the USGA didn't sort of step in and say, we got to get this thing closer to par, but it felt like that was a win in the end for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because if you look at how difficult the golf course was, look at Justin Rose on I think it was on Thursday, when he hit every bunker on the golf course and got out and still shot 6 under. I think it was maybe Friday. And it was, so it was really, it was playing difficult, but they played their way out of it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the skill of the game,
And the good pros nowadays, I say the good pros, 13 under, if there's really a course that's playing easy, it's going to be 23, 24 under par. And so that's just not as astronomical of a number as it used to be. And again, I think that's sort of a reward, it felt like, for everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're off and rolling on Play It Where It Lies, looking back at the U.S. Open. We love our awards segment. We've got some extra, I think, awards to give out this week because there were so many of them. So our Play It Where It Lies awards coming up next. We'll have Play It, Drop It, Roll It, a really good pressing question always for us hacking amateurs and tough lies. So real golf talk. This is Play It Where It Lies.
Golf puts you in tough spots. We play it where it lies.
Hey, this is Stewie the Gent here alongside John, and we're going to go right into our section here now of our Play It Where It Lies awards. These tough awards here, and sometimes it's very tough to pick one individual. So this week, John, I don't know how many I could give out of these awards this week. Tough lies, tough places, and I've got a bunch of...
Well, good. I'm ready for them, as you should. Like every week, there are more that I want to go out. And so I said, sure, let's hand
do
out
this.
a few. I've got a couple. Well, we'll let you go ahead and tee up your first couple.
We're going to start with the first one. I'm giving to another LPGA player.
Okay.
I'm giving to Brooke Henderson.
Yeah. Big win this weekend. Big win, Brooke.
Became the winningest Canadian golfer, either male or female, of all time. And that's a remarkable feat. She's still such a young lady and plays beautiful golf.
And is a superstar in Canada.
Oh, of course
Big
she is.
time.
Yeah, they love her up there. So good for the game, so good for the ladies' game. And my kudos to her for just winning again and just being... her and her sister on the bag. It's just a great story. It really is, you know. The LPGA gave her, early. She was allowed to play early, underage, and according to their rules. So I love it for Brooke. So congratulations to her.
I'll back that up with another female golfer, inspirational, making headlines in a little bit of a different way. Now, I was remiss. I didn't pick up on this when it happened. And, of course, I learned all about Amy Bockerstedt this weekend with Gary Woodland's win. He FaceTimed her afterwards on the press conference in a very emotional moment. Now, she's a Special Olympics golfer with Down syndrome, and she and Gary played together, apparently. And again, I'm just learning this, and I hate that I was late on the story, but I've read all about it now, and I'm fascinated. She and Gary played together on the 16th hole in a practice round out at the Phoenix Open, the 16th hole at the Waste Management. And she made par out there, on the hole, and Gary was just taken with her, and they have struck up a friendship, and Gary FaceTimed her after his U.S. Open win this past weekend. But then when you start to learn about her story, the first person to ever get an athletic scholarship with Down syndrome, and that's according to the Special Olympics people, the way that, again, she attacks the golf course with this awful, dreadful disease and actually has... I've got it, which is sort of her signature phrase that she told Gary Woodland. She said, no, I'll step up and knock in the putt. I've got it. And she did. That's engraved on her golf balls. And then she tweeted at Gary on Saturday, you've got this, Gary. And then to see that moment come full circle on Sunday. But me just learning about her for the first time, what an incredible, the definition of playing it where it lies, that award with Down syndrome. And they say, do you get nervous? She said, no, I get excited. This is the best thing that I could possibly do is play golf at this level. Amy Bockerstedt.
Great award. Great award for it there.
It's so cool. It's so, we can all feel good story, whatever. But, that is really remarkable when you think about it. And she plays on the golf team. She is a factor out there in Arizona high school golf and has a community college scholarship.
Yeah, sure is.
Amazing.
Yeah, so next one I've got, because we're going on with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to Victor Hovland.
I loved his presence this weekend. Tell me, why does Hovland get your play?
So Victor Hovland is only in the last 12 months has really become a winning player. Won the US amateur, at Pebble Beach. Remained an amateur until today. I think he's already turned professional today. Remained an amateur today so he could play in the US Open. Still, I think it's kind of a funky rule, but it's maybe they'll change it one day. You know, I mean, where
they
you
should
can
listen
turn
to the show,
professional.
and they will. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, so he gets there. Gets off to an unbelievable start at 4 under, falls off, but then shoots a 4 under final round to have the lowest ever amateur score breaking Jack Nicklaus's record.
Awesome.
I mean, what a thing to do.
Awesome. And he seems like a fun guy, man. He seems like he's a lot of fun.
Yeah. There aren't many Norwegian golfers out there, but...
No, he's got, this happy-go-lucky, like he might have just downed a few and burned a couple and like, whatever. He's
permanent
out there banging it away.
Face,
permanent smile.
Yeah.
Victor Hovland, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from Norway to Sweden and give one to Henrik Stenson. I don't know if you caught this moment.
I did.
Another
I
ultimate play it where it lies moment. So Henson hits this like Hazel shank, man. I mean, it's just bad. It looked like Hackin Hank was standing over it in the fairway. It's one of the worst shots you'll see a PGA Tour player hit. Hit a fan in the head, and the fan is down, writhing in pain, and comes over, and it kind of became a funny moment. His girlfriend got down with him, and they were kind of taking a picture. And so Henrik Stenson, after hitting the fan, this fan was in serious pain. He got hit in the head. Stenson goes over and lays down with them, and the three of them, these two guys who Henrik Stenson, one of them who Henrik Stenson just hit, and Henrik Stenson, and they take, selfie photos together. And it became a big hit, and I thought it was quintessential Stenson, who's one of the sort of most, he has as much of a sense of humor on tour as you'll find. He always seems like a really down-to-earth guy, and literally got down and played it where it lied, like lying down, and took a selfie and, made someone's day. It was pretty cool.
When you first said that you were doing Henrik Stenson, and I never thought about this part. I thought he had the strangest haircut.
Yeah.
Henrik Stenson. When he took his hat off and he got these little spikes sticking up behind.
Well, we'll give him an award for that one also.
Yeah. It was
I love Henrik Stenson, and I think people think that, he's one of those guys, I think a little bit like Webb Simpson, who gives off almost the opposite impression of who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Stenson gives off this kind of monotonous Terminator, robotic idea of himself on the golf course. But beyond the golf course, he's very funny. He's very thoughtful, open, cerebral, all of those things. A big Henrik Stenson fan.
Yeah, and I'm going to close out now.
Okay, good. I've got one more as well.
You've got one more.
This is working well.
I'm closing out.
We should ham and egg somebody sometime.
Closing out with the USGA.
Okay.
And reminding them to play it where it lies. You did a great job this week.
Well said.
Just leave it alone. Play the courses. Let them be the star.
I'm going to throw one out to Bash Brothers Media for the same reason. Stuart, we went down to New Orleans, Saints minicamp. We weren't sure exactly what we were going to do. Let's go cover Saints camp, have some fun. Maybe we'll do a show. We got a spot in the Garden District. The porches in New Orleans are the thing. And we decided that our best location was actually right there on the porch. We sort of had to play it where it lies and shoot from sort of the facility that we could. And shout out to Hackin Hank and Josh the Juice who are producing this show. I thought we worked really hard in New Orleans in some total like play it where it lies situations, like on foreign turf, not knowing exactly what we were going to do, but we made the best of it and had a blast as well. So shout out to the Bash Brothers Media crew, and make sure you can check out those Sports Lounge New Orleans shows. We did 3 of them, 2 from our porch in the Garden District, which felt like the total right thing to do, and then the last one from the steakhouse. But Stuart, whether it's football or golf, I mean, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyed. It is most enjoyed, I think, by all of us when you're sitting on a porch drinking a beer, having fun talking about the game.
It is, and I'm going to encourage everybody to go and look on Facebook and see this one, because there's a bunch of handsome-looking guys there sitting there with a very handsome-looking chef who's obviously cooked a lot of very good food. I'm looking down at John. Tommy to see if he's bursting out of his pants yet, but
getting further and further.
Thankfully, he isn't.
There wasn't much gent involved in what we were doing this weekend, but it's good to be back alongside the gent, Hackin Hank, Josh the Juice in here as well. Everybody's favorite segment. It's my favorite part of every Monday. Coming your way next on Play It Where It Lies. I'm excited to get into this Jordan Spieth, Michael Greller thing and a whole lot more. Play it, drop it, roll it. Coming up next.
The good, the bad, the hard in golf. This is Play It Where It Lies.
Thank you for listening, watching, Play It Where It Lies. I'm John Wiener, the Gent Stuart Conway. We're driven by Gulf States golf cars, Highway 51 in Ridgeland, just past County Line Road over there. Always a great shop and great service for the best in Yamaha personal cars. Are you going to, like when you do the retirement thing that I know, and congratulations, I know you're looking towards that. Are you going to, like, let's say you go overseas or go somewhere else, are you going to take a golf cart with you, or are you going to make that move?
If I can.
And have your personal
cart? If I
Surely
can, depending on where it is.
Right
well, I've got one in my house now, so yeah, probably take that one with me.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, it's they're useful to have.
You
know,
have some time to drive it around.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've got tough lies and punch outs coming up. We're going to talk about throwing and breaking clubs. And my question for the Gent is, like, when you break a club, like, what's the best move then in terms of like what you do without your pitching wedge? But look, play it, drop it, roll it. I'm really excited. Let's fire it up.
Okay.
Play it, drop it, or roll it.
Tiger Woods does not factor in the tournament, and what's interesting afterwards, he says, I'm not playing again until the Open Championship at Portrush. And they said, where are you going to play? He said, I'll play at home. He admitted fatigue after the PGA Championship. Didn't look like himself this weekend for the U.S. Open. Is there cause for concern for Tiger? Play it, drop it, roll it.
I'm going to drop it, and here's why I'm going to drop it now is that I think Tiger has reached a point in his life where he's very comfortable in what he's doing, and I think fatigue is a factor, and so I think that he realizes that if he plays too much golf on the wrong courses, he's going to burn out very quickly, and he is not going to be able to compete. So I think what he's doing is right for him. That you're going to see him half a dozen times a year, maybe 8 times a year. You're going to see him in the majors. You're going to see him in the playoffs. And you may see him 2 or 3 other times. I think that's it. I think that's the way of the next few years. He's concentrating on one thing. He wants to be have the most major wins, period. He's not interested in anything else now.
I'm going to play this one in terms of cause for concern for a couple of reasons. Because, for one, it is, like you say, it's all about the majors right now.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that Tiger has proven himself, even in these last 2, but certainly this one, that I don't know if he's good enough, frankly, anymore, or if the other guys are going to enable him to win a major championship without playing more than 8-9 times a year. In other words, like, if you're telling me that Tiger's going to take this game that he showed at Pebble Beach and the next time that he shows up is Portrush, I don't think that's a recipe to win any majors. And so I think that the cause for concern is one, again, is his game actually going to be sharp enough to only play the majors? 2 is, his body and his health and his endurance is the question for me in terms of, like, the next 3-4 years. And that appears like, well, maybe it's not quite what we thought it was or what Tiger thought, because Tiger, in every sense, everything was plotted and planned and disciplined.
Yes.
And Tiger never did anything that was reactionary, that wasn't already sort of planned and scripted by him. And this feels a little bit not like that. This feels like Tiger is a little bit surprised by, like, didn't it feel like that way to you, that this was a reaction from him from saying it's just not feeling right now at the U.S. Open? Like, I don't know that this was part of the script for Tiger. I know a lot has not been lately, but for all of those reasons, I think it's a cause for concern even after the Masters win that, he could get another one.
Well, I think that he's going to seriously look at the courses that he's going to have to play. There is nothing that they're going to play which is going to prepare anybody for Royal Portrush. So it's I would not be surprised to find him going to Ireland 10 days beforehand, playing. Maybe not just at Portrush, but at a few other places. Get used to some wind, and probably feels that's much better preparation for him. I think the key that you said there is that Tiger scripts everything he does. This is not something which I think he has thought in a split second and done. I think this is a plan. This is the way he feels it's the best way for him to win majors, to remain competitive and keep his stamina going. I think it is scripted. I think he does understand what he's doing. I think he understands what his body is doing and what his body is capable of. So I believe this is the way for him to go. I think he can win Augusta for the next 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Hackin Hank telling us we need to move through, like I said. But I will say that his two best chances this year were certainly Augusta where he won, but people thought Bethpage and Pebble Beach. Portrush, I don't think is that thing is a beast and a half, and so we'll see about Portrush. But it's it'll be interesting to see for all of those reasons, and always what happens with Tiger going forward. We'll queue up another one here. Justin Rose will win another major. Play it, drop it, roll it.
Oh, I'm playing that. He definitely will win another major. He definitely will win. It's just not going to be won on a course like Pebble Beach. I think that Whistling Straits might be more one that he might be capable of winning. I think Royal Portrush is one that he can win. But yeah, I'm confident that Justin Rose will end up with 2, 3, maybe 4 majors.
Yeah, I think that's patently ridiculous. I'm dropping it wholeheartedly. And certainly the idea that he would win 3, 4 majors. Yeah. Justin Rose has been on tour for 20 years. Justin Rose has been one of the best players in the world for about 11 years and has as many majors as Webb Simpson, as Gary Woodland, as Keegan Bradley, as Jason Dovner. I could go on, as Graham McDowell. I could go on and on and on and on. I think that Rose, frankly, is just really overrated in terms of the idea of himself as a winner and a closer and a killer. I mean, how many times have we seen him on Sunday be right there yet again? Masters, U.S. Open, Open Championship. He had a one-shot lead. He was one back, and Stewart, he shot 74. I think more often than not when Rose gets on a Sunday, he gets stiff, he gets wooden. He is not the shot maker that other guys can be. The putter saved him for a while for all the talk
this week. Absolutely.
of the ball striking. I mean, the guy couldn't find a green from the fringe. Agreed. So, no, I just think what's more likely? I mean, here's a guy who's 41 years old. The clock is ticking and fast on Justin Rose. For as consistent as he is, as solid as he is, consistent and solid gets you a lot of T4s in the majors, and that's where Justin Rose is, and I don't think that changes.
I'm sticking with my. I still think he can win at least another couple. I think he will win 2 more majors.
That's a good one. It's a good talk. Listen, I couldn't disagree more, and I thought this weekend was a perfect example of it.
Well, I mean, Okay, low-scoring U.S. Opens.
I'm going to roll this one. Here's why. I don't like the USGA monkeying with stuff and, week to week, but I don't want to see the guys shoot 4 over and this the toughest test of golf. I just like variety. I like the breakup of the monotony of the PGA Tour where everything is a birdie fest and everything is 13 under to 20 under par. I'm not saying I want to see it be difficult to be difficult, or certainly that you want the USGA contriving something that really puts it out of whack. But so that's why I'm not going to play it or drop it. I'm going to roll it because, I really enjoy the U.S. Opens where it's a different kind of golf. And we see a more of a grinding, physical 3, 4, 5 under par, as much just for the variety and it breaking it up where the U.S. Open isn't like every other tournament. So it's kind of in the middle, and that's why I roll it.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely concur. I roll this one too.
Okay.
And just my only point on that one is just like the USGA, just pick the right courses. Pick the right courses. The game is what the game's changed. Yeah. It's not a par game anymore.
Yeah. And it'll be Winged Foot next year.
Yeah.
Then there's a couple, but for the most part, it's Winged Foot and then Torrey Pines. It's some of the
good courses.
Chambers Bay scared them so much it's never happening again. What else we got?
They had so much. Next one. Brooks Koepka is getting more likable.
I'm going to play this one. And here's why. I think as Brooks Koepka fails, we like him more. And here's what I mean, in that I thought Sunday, in him... being in, every time we've seen Koepka in contention, he suffocates the tournament. It becomes not fun, and he sort of strangles the life out of all of it. And we have this idea of Koepka as a Terminator, as this emotionless, you know, sort of winner. I thought at Bethpage he showed us a little bit that, you know, he can kind of grit one out and do it that way. And I think I thought he won a lot of points with a lot of people yesterday with a great interview with Fox, you know, as the runner-up. There was none of this chip on my shoulder thing. He was sort of appreciated the run that he had and that Gary Woodland outplayed him. You know, being there to congratulate Woodland afterwards. And, yeah, a little bit of being in the arena and failing, you know, and showing his own fallibility. I think immensely I like Brooks Koepka more than a week ago, as hard as it is to believe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that, and particularly, you know, I enjoyed the part where some of the players, including Brooks Koepka, came and congratulated. They waited and congratulated him on the way in. It was terrific to see. I think he is, but I still think that generally he's not been. He's got a bit to go. He's got a bit to go.
And that's why it's in Play It, Drop It, Roll It. More likable. Is he like eminently likable? Like not at all. He's no Boo Weekly. You know what I mean? But he, it's and you know, for someone like ISO Joe Simeone, you know, our guy who's not, he was very drawn to Koepka, and someone like him who's more of an athlete guy, you know, he likes Brooks Koepka, and so anytime I think you can get that mix of a megastar who is the absolute sort of favorite and best in a Brooks Koepka and pair that with a Gary Woodland and his story on the other side, I think that's kind of where golf has the most teeth.
Yeah.
This one will be for you, I think especially, but interesting for both of us. Play It, Drop It, Roll It. The Wilson Golf brand.
Now, I'm playing Wilson Golf brands because I've played. Anybody who's my age or just a little bit younger or a little bit older in particular has played Wilson Staff golf
The Wilson
clubs.
Staff irons, right?
And they are absolutely great golf clubs, you know. And I don't know why their brand isn't. It's probably mostly marketing, but it's a good golf club. It's won a lot of tournaments. It's been a brand leader in Europe for decades. You know, it's a major sports brand, tennis rackets, all sorts of things. You know, and that. But the golf clubs are good. You just can't find them here.
I think one reason you talk about it being another sports brand, you know, Titleist and TaylorMade, they are golf and only golf. I mean, Bridgestone, I know they make tires, but like golf balls. I think part of Wilson's thing is it is a little bigger than just golf. I'm gonna play it. You know, I had Drop It originally, but in doing some research and just thinking about the irons, like what I rock like the Wilson hat. I don't know why I wear branded hats anyways. Like, why not just wear a Saints hat? Like, what's the Titleist hat doing for you? But in terms of the Wilson Staff irons, absolute quality clubs. Like, I even remember growing up in the early 90s what the Wilson Staff irons meant. I got some stats for you that are pretty interesting here. Gene Sarazen joined the Wilson Company in 1922, immediately won the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship. Over the next 97 years, Wilson irons would win 61 majors. 61 majors. So when you see the Wilson tagline, most majors won in golf, it's not the balls, it's the hat. It's those Staff irons. 61 majors. The last one to do it before Gary Woodland was Padraig Harrington in 2008. But what was also interesting in here is Gary Woodland kept alive a Wilson stat that since 1920, there's been a Wilson iron winner in every decade. So there's been a major winner with Wilson irons in every decade until now. And people thought that this last decade was the swan song for Wilson. But there's Gary Woodland. So a moment in the sun, sort of in a career in the sun, but yet a long time coming for Wilson Golf.
It is, and it's a shame. And it's a shame that they're reduced to driver versus driver on the TV, but which hasn't worked well for them. but you know, I mean, it's a quality product.
Yeah, Wilson,
it's a quality product.
Wilson Staff irons all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think their sales will like people will learn about this. You don't think the sales are going to go away? Stevens Golf Shop had ordered like 6 extra staff sets.
I don't think that the big box stores are going to be ordering lots of Wilson irons for people to play.
I think it is a players club, though. I think if you were to talk about Wilson Staff,
they have now the C and the D series, which are really, you know, game enhancement clubs. You know, they got flex faces on them. They go a long way. They got everything that all the other brands have, but they just don't have the marketing. That's all it is there. So, this is a great one. Jordan Spieth calling out his caddy on TV.
I couldn't be ready to drop this anymore wholeheartedly with all of my heart and soul. Jordan Spieth I'm dropping his like calling out Michael Greller and taking him to task. I guess to put it really simply, like the player is the one who hits the golf shots.
Indeed.
To go even further, the player is the one who has the final call on what club he's going to hit. No matter what your caddy gives you, it's Jordan Spieth's call. And Spieth himself didn't know which club to hit.
Yep.
Spieth himself was in between clubs and still couldn't really decide and wasn't committed to it standing over. So all of that going said, but it just also on the other side, it feels so quintessentially like Jordan Spieth for everyone who wants to, oh, he's so gentleman and classy. It is the opposite of that. It is sort of whining, bratty, entitled Jordan Spieth. You hit it in the water, you hit it over the green, and somehow it's Michael Greller's fault. And then he wants the whole world to know that it wasn't him, that it was Michael Greller. Like Spieth knows exactly what's happening, that the cameras are going to pick him up. He sees the camera right freaking there, and like he spent the whole rest of the round like wanting everyone to know that he was playing better golf than he is, which as Hackin and Hank said, like I ought to know that. I know that look really well. You know what I mean? I know that feeling when like you want it to be really clear that you're better than this. That was Jordan Spieth in every way, and so I couldn't have less for that from Spieth.
This one is I can't decide which way to go on this because this has become a part of the game which I have not liked. Is the team. It's now a team. We have a team. The we are doing this, but I've done it if I've won, but we did it if it didn't go quite right. You know?
And that can work both ways.
Yeah, it can. And I don't like this thing. Golf is an individual game. Yeah. You are absolutely correct. He is the player. If he gives you a 5-iron and you think it should be a 6 or a 4 or something else, you need to. You're the one making there. I think Lee Trevino said that you tell me how far it is, I'll pick the club. Okay, yeah. And that's how he treated his caddy.
And I've heard someone say caddies on the PGA Tour show up, keep up, and shut up.
Yeah, that was
it. The old mindset.
And that's what you carry the bag, you clean the clubs, you made sure they're clean, the ball was clean, everything was right for the player. You told him the yardages. Hopefully, you got those right.
You talk about the 5-iron. It's like it's the famous line in Happy Gilmore. Shooter McGavin. The guy hands him a 5-iron. Shooter wants the wedge. He chips it in. He says 5-iron. Well, you're fired. It's like it's that simple.
Yeah.
If you don't, it is entirely in the player's control. And Spieth and Greller, like more than anybody, have promoted that it's a we thing.
Yes.
So I guess in some ways, if Greller wants that. Like, I'm with you. This is not as easy as it would seem because Greller they have openly embraced like Greller's role in it, and then you kind of take the heat for it a little bit. But I think in the end, it entirely rests with Spieth, and also like it's just a bad look. It's a terrible look.
It's a bad look.
The optics of it are awful.
It was a bad look. It was.
We'll move through the last ones. Mickelson's U.S. Open quest is done. Play it, drop it, or roll it.
Playing it. It's done. It's all over. That was it. Pebble Beach or bust.
But you know what? I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop it. Now, as I think about it, I disagree. I don't know that Mickelson's quest is done. I think a realistic talk of him winning should be out the window. Do I see in the next 5 years a U.S. Open where Mickelson is on the leaderboard on Sunday? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a, so I'm going to say no because of golf being the magical sport that it is. Darren Clark again won at 48. Jack makes a run at Augusta at 56. I'm not, will he win it? No. Should it be a conversation even going forward? Can Phil win the U.S. Open? That part of it is done, but is Phil in the U.S. Open? Are we through with that? No, I don't think so. I think we will see. And Mickelson's aging pretty well. He just won this year. I know he didn't get it done at Pebble Beach, but and wasn't even close at Pebble Beach. But don't you foresee that? Like you really I think Mickelson will contend in another U.S. Open before it's all said and done.
I view the question as his quest for a U.S. Open. Title, I think that's over. Yeah, will he play well? Yeah, of course he'll play well. He claims he's picked up 6-7 miles an hour swing speed, and hits the ball a long way and everything else. But no, I don't see him ever winning another U.S. Open, or winning a U.S. Open.
I think Phil's going to break our hearts one more time. I don't know if it's. I mean, it's at Wingfoot next year. I mean, how famously, can we go back there with Mickelson? No, I think that it won't be a conversation going in. No, but I think that in one of the next, 3-4 5 U.S. Opens that Mickelson will bring this back one more time. His sort of quest for the career Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Final one, Ricky Fowler star. Play it, drop it, roll it.
Oh gosh, I got to drop Ricky for like a ton of bricks.
Drop him like a bad habit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's you just can't. You can't, I'm sure he's a wonderful person. I'm sure he is a great golfer. That's the thing. But he just can't get it done, Is he going to have that? He might have that Gary Woodland moment in 3 or 4 years where he matures and he settles down and can handle it all. But I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing him as the, America's version of Lee Westwood and Colin Montgomery.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's a role situation where it's up to what Ricky Fowler wants to do?
It could be because Ricky likes being Ricky Fowler.
That's what I mean. Is it simple enough as the narrative where people say if Ricky Fowler quit worrying about everything else, the brand and the ambassador and everything, and made it his sole goal, that Brooks Koepka, Tiger Woods approach, that Fowler would in fact win a lot more?
I think he would. I think that's a really, really good point. I think he would. I think it's a matter of that he's just kind of comfortable where he is and what he's doing and with himself. And he is a great golfer. That's not. I'm not questioning his ability or his ability to win those tournaments. I just don't think he can.
And that's why I have roll here, because I think to some degree it will be what Fowler wants to make of it ultimately. But I also think we overplay that a little bit. It's really hard to win on tour. Fowler's really good, but he may not be, that sort of Rory McIlroy talent where he almost like wins in spite of himself. But I just think it's more, the further away you get from it, you certainly get complacent. But also you wonder if you can ultimately do it.
I'm sure he questions himself.
I think is there I think more like the Adam Scott, Henrik Stenson moment more than Gary Woodland or even a Justin Rose. I mean, Scott, Stenson, Rose were great examples of guys we talked about for a long time. Best player to never have won a major. It wasn't if, it was when. Is that in his future? Maybe. But
it was for Westwood. It was for Montgomery. It was
you're right.
for those guys. It was there, to win them. Luke Donald, I mean, had 2 stellar years.
Paul Casey, just throw another Englishman out there and didn't get anything done.
Let's do that.
But
I didn't pick Casey this time.
The best Englishman we know, the Gent, Stuart Conway. I'm John Wiener, Hackin Hankin here, Josh the Juice as well. We're glad you're listening and watching here on Bash Brothers Media, all of our Bash Brothers Media platforms. If you're watching the show, it's facebook.com/Bash Brothers Media, on our YouTube page as well, and podcasts, wherever podcasts are available, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, certainly on the website as well, www.bashbrothersmedia.com. We're going to finish up on the other side of the break here on Play It Where It Lies, a really fun segment, tough lies conversation, and then we'll punch out and send you on your way. This is Play It Where It Lies.
Golf gives and takes away. We play it where it lies.
Back again, Stuart the Gent, John Wiener.
Patrick Reed, not gentlemanly.
Yeah.
No one would confuse Patrick Reed with the Gent.
We're going into tough lies. John, I can't believe that we're going down this road.
One of the deals with Tough Lies every week is it's the questions, the hard questions in golf, and it's been everything from I think we started with President Trump and his impact on the game all the way through the USGA tour. We tackled USGA. We tackled slow play in our everyday game, and we'll hit all levels, I think, with this one, and throwing and breaking golf clubs. So Patrick Reed, major winner, Ryder Cup star, Masters champion with the green jacket and all, snapped his wedge like Bo Jackson and the wooden bat. Reed chipped it from the rough. The ball stayed in the rough where he was going to have to chip from again, and Reed just snapped his wedge in two and just tossed it to his caddy. He became like even more of one of my favorite players immediately through doing that. Stuart, is it ever okay to throw or break a club?
In my opinion, no. It's not. It's not okay. Listen, how many broken clubs would there have been from the amount of shots that we didn't see on television that never got out the rough, that they whiffed, that they got underneath the ball, they jabbed it into the hillside. There was a bunch of them out there.
You can't just go breaking and throwing clubs everywhere.
It's like a child's tantrum out there of breaking a club. It's not good. It's not, it's like Spieth. It's not a good view. It doesn't look good. it sends the wrong message to anybody watching the game that this is okay to do. It's
break-
also, Patrick Reed is going to go back and somebody's going to give him a new club.
I want to get to that. I want to get to that with what happens, with what happens after you deposit the club in the lake or on your knee. Is it against the etiquette of the game?
Oh yeah,
also,
absolutely.
I think that's fair.
I think it's fair to say. I mean, it's it's a gentle person's game, not a gentleman's or a gentlewoman's. It's a gentle person's game. It's a game of integrity. It's a game where we look to each other to set reasonable rules of etiquette in our lives, and yeah, it's against it. It's banging clubs off golf cars, hitting trees, throwing clubs into trees, into lakes, breaking them over your leg, over your neck, and it's just not good.
So there are a lot of things that are commonplace and accepted today that I think wouldn't be against the etiquette of the original game. Driving in golf carts, drinking beer while you're doing it, fivesomes,
listening to music.
Yeah, so all of these things now, probably all of these things are scourges on the game, but like they're and you would probably like drop all of them, I think, as we talked about. But
I'm gonna give you a scenario.
Well,
everybody listening who's doing this.
Let me ask you this. I'm gonna flip it this way. So all of that being said, like for one, it is certainly against the etiquette of the game, but there are a lot of things that happen today that are kind of out there. The etiquette has changed and loosened up a little bit, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Have you not been in a situation on the golf course where you've hit a shot that was so bad, that was so frustrating, that was so unforced that you wanted to throw a club? You wanted to break a club? Like, haven't you, like, don't you understand that emotion? Or have you not ever even run that hot on a golf course?
I've never thought of breaking a club on a golf course. I have dropped a club. That's as close as I've come to
never
throwing it.
Thrown one.
Never thrown one. I've dropped one, but never thrown it.
Now,
I've
believe
dropped one.
That. Like, the Gent is on record. He wouldn't be the Gent if he was.
One
if he
threw my
club.
hands to my head and gone, but his one thing is, whenever you've done it, do you realize what effect it has on the rest of the group playing with on a recreational basis? Now, I'm not sure about these guys. These guys probably just laughed their head off at Patrick Reed and said, what a jack.
It can be sour for the other people in the group, especially, and I do think there's some etiquette to it. But however, have you not also, you haven't done this, but like I throw clubs all the time. All the time. Like, it's a really frustrating game, and I just let them go. Like, I don't sling them down the fairway like some people, but like everything from the release to the flip to the outright just like toss.
So long as you throw it in the direction you're going.
There's all kinds of etiquette to throwing a club in terms of when you do it, where you do it, how you do it. Because I do think there's a time and place for it. Because I think that, like, this game is so maddening.
No.
It's so frustrating. Person like me wants to play so well, and you're so competitive, and it means so much that, like, I can understand the emotion of wanting to throw a club and not being able to contain yourself from doing it. There's a whole bunch of space out there.
There is.
The club's made of metal. Like, you're not really gonna hurt it. And like the release that you get from it. Like, I always feel like trying to hold that anger inside and like pent it up. Like, the release that you get from throwing the club, like, it really does legitimately like free you up a little bit and cause you to exhale and move on instead of like staying with that shot and let me internalize it some more and just get madder and madder. There is no doubt, like, you call me crazy, but there is no doubt, like, you are less mad and it releases energy and it releases anger when you give that thing a good flip this way, you give it a good toss that way, or heaven forbid, just turn around and like sling it like a lasso. Like, yeah, I think it's beneficial to the game, and like, I'm standing by it. I think there's a time and a place for throwing a golf club.
we couldn't disagree more.
I know.
We couldn't disagree more. I just think it's bad form. It's a bad look. It's bad for the game. It's bad for the rest of the people in your group, and I can't think. Listen. I've heard legitimate, golf tour professionals in retirement talk about it's okay because they like to see some some emotion out of the people.
Well,
but what about the emotion it has to other people around
What
you?
about your boy Bobby Jones? Like here, like you
Exactly,
talked
yes.
about it, like the gentleman in the game, Bobby Jones. Like there's the famous story of the woman who plays with Bobby Jones, and he just lets it fly. He lets it rip. Like the great gentlemanly Bobby Jones. Like if there was a place for it for Bobby Jones, damn it, there's a place for me and us on Play It Where It Lies.
I have no answer.
The gent
I don't know what to say to that.
The gent is appalled.
You can always. I tell you what. You can rationalize anything in your mind. Okay, that's the way I'll put it.
A couple more. So this is a fun question. And Hackin Hank's shaking his head back there. Like I've seen some prodigious club throws and slams from Hackin Hank. Now Hackin Hank's more of a slammer than a thrower. I'm more of a thrower than a slammer. Is there a memorable moment that sticks out for you? Because you who've never done it. I mean, that's his most just a flipping.
I have.
Oh man, put my hands on my head. I mean, you are as composed as anyone I know. Like that's why we call you the gent. Like that's why you're known as the gent. Is there a memorable moment that sticks out for you?
There is a memorable moment playing with one of my group who is a known club thrower who played at a Deerfield on the 14th, the little par 3.
Yeah,
and hit his tee shot about 20 yards. Yeah, slams his club to the ground, walks to the golf car, wraps the club around the golf car, and breaks it in two.
Wow.
Gets in the car, drives up to his golf ball, proceeds to hit his wedge now about 70 yards. Yeah, goes up again. He's still short of the par 3. Hits his wedge into the bunker, in there, and stood and pounded his wedge on the ground until it broke. Until it broke.
So he broke two in one
hole.
So
he broke there. And I drove past him and slowed down as I drove past him, and I said, that was an expensive hole, Dave. He's now got to replace 2 shafts in 2 golf clubs.
I have too many memorable ones to remember, I'm afraid. I think one that sticks out for me is like a lot of times, like when you slam it and you don't mean to break it and it breaks. I like a lot of days I will throw clubs and break. I rarely like break the club because I just don't have that Stuart Conley money, and we'll close with that. But just there's like 4 or 5 galleries around there, and that's when you feel like an asshole. You know what I mean? When you break your club around a lot of people. But I threw a putter in a tree one time. I threw it in the tree. No, it wasn't my putter. It was the wedge. I threw my wedge into the tree. I took like 4 to get out of the bunker. And ended up in the tree. Like
Never
I got
came
a little
down.
more on the high. I tried to. I won't even tell. I got something else stuck trying to get the wedge out of the tree. But I think a wedge ending up about 15 feet, in the tree is pretty memorable. I don't even know if that would be my top one with like me and some of my friends. So, and yeah, do you feel like a total jerk and a clown and an idiot? Like, absolutely. And
thank goodness for that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, as well, you should maybe. But again, the world needs idiots.
We should make it so the person who does that has to wear plaid pants.
But what they do have to do is then all of a sudden go encounter what to do without said club. So let's say you break the club, you throw it in the water, whatever.
Yeah.
Like right now, I need a pitching wedge. I just lost the damn pitching wedge. I didn't break it.
Yeah.
But then you get into a situation where you're trying to hit a club that's not required. You hit a 9-iron when you need pitching wedge, or try to rip a gap wedge. Like, don't you need to replace the club as soon as possible, or is it better to say, hey, like, just take your own clubs and kind of just try to make that shot work?
No. Replace it.
Okay.
Replace it. It's game's hard enough. You need the right iron for the right to do the right job. So you've got to get out there and replace it. If you've broken it, you can get it reshafted with the same shaft. If you throw it up in a tree and you can't get it, you can't get it back. You've got to go buy a new one. Most clubs nowadays, most places, they all sell single irons. If you go with one that's got a serial number on it, they can even make it exactly the same as the one that you.
Let's say you're in a big round, a lot of money at stake, and you break it, early in the round, and you've got to have that shot for the rest of the golf course. Let's say it's a pitching wedge. Is it better to borrow someone else's pitching wedge or hit your 9-iron or your gap wedge?
Oh, you've got to hit your own club.
That's what I think too. Like I'd rather hit my own club, the wrong club, than hit someone else's right club.
Yeah, you know that you can choke down on your 9-iron and turn it into a pitching wedge. It might come in a little lower or something, but yeah, definitely.
I tried to do that, and
yeah.
it came in really low and really short, and it was in the water, and that 9-iron.
Oh dear.
Playing with fire there, John. It's a good Tough Lies segment here on Play It Where It Lies. Go see Stuart the Gent Conway on Highway 51 at Gulf States Golf Cars, and in the shop. Steven, he'll get you set with the club if you've broken it or thrown it in the water or just happened to misplace it. Let's punch out here on Play It Where It Lies. Stuart, speaking of, I do need a new golf bag. Mine's on tatters, and it's got the one with like the 14-hole dividers, which are miserable.
I don't like.
I only got it because I got a major discount on it, like at the TaylorMade Star. Because again, not all of us working with that SCM. You know what I mean? But what's the best bet for a new golf bag? How do I go about it?
I mean, a cart bag or I prefer a cart bag or a staff bag if for going around. We don't carry our bags anymore, and so a stand bag is kind of like, why?
Right, exactly. Right.
Why I'm not carrying this thing with me? So a cart bag or there. I'm going to tell you now, the best investment I ever made, as I like to tinker, so I change clubs a little bit, and like this. I bought a non-branded golf club.
A golf bag,
yeah. The one that doesn't have a name on it.
Really?
Yeah. So that I've got a black leather golf bag. It's just got SMC on it, and so it's not outlandish. Or
it should have SCM instead of SMC. Like that's especially when it's your own like custom made, like non-brand. Like if that doesn't say Stuart Conway money, I don't know what does.
I've got a little Union Jack on there as well.
I'm sure.
And it's and I find that then that bag is your bag, and it becomes your bag, and it doesn't have a club brand on it or a ball brand on it, which everybody looks around and said, why have you got a ping bag with Titleist clubs in your bag?
Don't you think that whole thing is a little silly? Like in general, our brand allegiance in golf, and that's kind of what we are. That's kind of what I was meaning, like with the Titleist hat. Like why, what is that? Why Titleist? Like as though I like identify with that. I mean, my bag is TaylorMade. My woods are. I got a TaylorMade hybrid. I got they're mostly they're Titleist irons. They're Cleveland wedges. It's a Scotty putter. It's like I'm not so sure on why I care what the brand is on the bag to begin with. So maybe I'm with you. Like, let's forget about it entirely.
I think that's become this is another conversation for another show. But I think it's a great conversation to have. Is how we have become more able to have different brands in our bags of irons, wedges, putters, drivers, 3-woods, hybrids. Find the one that works for you. Good conversation to have in there. But yeah, I'm great with the non-branded bag. I love it.
That.
I love it.
I had the 14 divider thing. Like it's so annoying.
I love the 6 divider. That's the way to go. And there's too many bags out there now with only 5 dividers in them. And I get back to the 6 dividers.
One question: do I need to see the bag, or can I get away with ordering it?
You can order a bag online from.
But I mean, you know what I mean. Like sometimes, like I don't want to order things because you want to feel. But I feel like maybe bags you can kind of, if it looks like a good bag and you know it, go ahead and don't be afraid.
There's
to
a
get
few
it online.
companies out there that are making bags that are not branded at all. They'll put logos on for you if you want your own logo on it. You could put a Bash Brothers logo on it.
Now we're cooking.
Yeah, Bash Brothers logo. There's a few companies out there.
We should change the Bash Brothers logo from the arms to like some broken golf clubs.
Let's not do that.
No, Bash Brothers Golf. We can start. So we have Bash Brothers, and then there's Bash Brothers Golf. That's like our umbrella or whatever, our subset brand. And instead of the arms, it would just be like
and then you can put a broken heart underneath for the way I feel when I see
Stuart the Gent Conway, the one and only. It's always a pleasure with you every Monday. Great U.S. Open, great Play It Where It Lies show, and keeping things moving always here at Bash Brothers Media. Big shout out to Gulf States Golf Cars, Highway 51 in Ridgeland. Go to gsgolfcars.com. Stop by anytime and see the Gent Stuart Conway. You see us here every Tuesday. Play It Where It Lies, Facebook and YouTube, the video version, podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, certainly our website, and the whole 9 yards. Until next week. Stuart Conway for Hackin Hank, Josh the Juice. I'm John Wiener. Play it on your phone, play it on the course, play it in your car. Just play it where it lies.
Thanks for joining Play It Where It Lies. Tee it up with us every week at Bash Brothers Media. Driven by Gulf States Golf Cars.